Good evening. We'll call to order the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency's meeting today, Tuesday, November 12, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. Would everyone please rise for the invocation by Bride of Christ Tabernacle Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Père Céleste, nous bénissons, nous merci pour grâce, merci pour nous chaque qui permet qu'il l'après-midi en Père. Et encore nous nous merci pour votre commissionnaire que vous avez dans Boynton Beach, que nous demandons capable toujours accompagner au Père dans toute décision qu'il prend, qu'il est capable de prendre pour bénéfice communauté à Père. Et mes meetings ça qui peut faire encore Père, nous mettons le devant, qu'on est capable de guider décision qu'il prend, que tout ça qu'il a fait pour la gloire de ton nom et pour bénéfice peuple Boynton Beach à Père. Nous pouvons ça au nom de Jésus-Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call, please?
Chair Grant.
Here.
Vice Chair Katz.
Here.
Board Member Pensurga.
Here.
Board Member Romulus.
Present.
Board Member McCrae.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda? Anyone would like to move an item up on the agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to legal. The definition of a joint venture agreement.
Yes, we were asked to provide more information on what exactly a joint venture agreement is. So this is just a quick explanation of that. And it's basically an agreement between two private parties to work together towards a common goal, and that can either be in the form of a corporation that they set up together separately, or it can be in the form of an agreement to work together through their existing corporations.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the board?
No questions, just comments. So I basically just wanted to just have that explanation provided by legal, and to then also just have us be more educated on what that looks like in terms of what it could look like, and for us to just kind of be a little bit more open-minded as a board as we move forward, doing different projects in and around the CRA community, allowing partnerships and opportunities to happen between entities. Therefore, it helps to kind of bring some type of, I would say, direction or at the very least some type of partnership where when the community is saying that they feel like things are being done without their input or without their consent or anything like that, or they don't really feel like they are getting the, I guess, bang for their buck, this allows for that. So I want us to kind of just be a little bit more open-minded as we move forward, and when we have different projects coming down the pike, really kind of putting it out there and giving the community the opportunity to say, well, here's a developer that wants to do this project, and the opportunity to partner or the opportunity to form a joint venture with that developer, and making those agreements happen in that sense is possible. So this is really kind of the vision. Again, it's not necessarily fully ironed out. It's still something that would have to be created between the entities. We do not, as a board, have to play any role in it at all. It's really just, as we write our RFPs, we, maybe state that in the language of the RFPs to say that, we would be looking for a developer who's willing to form a joint venture agreement with local businesses or local corporations that would want to be a partner in the development, so that way we can allow for the dispersal of funds to equally be dispersed and allow for members of the community to play a part actively financially in the project, not just as stakeholders who come to charrettes and give their ideas, but they can also be financially involved in the project too and feel like they have ownership and they are having and creating equity in the community. So this is why I wanted to have this conversation brought up and for us to just really have a open dialogue or discussion to say, is this something that we want to at least open the door to, so that when we put out future development projects, we give that open access and open door opportunity to individuals who may want to or who feel like they're being left out of the process in terms of equity and equitable buy-in for the different development projects that we're bringing into the CRA.
Chair.
Thank you.
Yes.
My comments in regards to this is that I'm in favor of joint ventures, but the stakeholders are those individuals who live in that community, whether they have a joint venture aspect in this or have any kind of aspect in this. Their main concern is that, we feel like we are being left out and we need to listen at all sides. I'm just saying, I understand what you're saying, Board Member Romulus, but the stakeholders that have more stake than the people that's coming in there, we should listen to them first. That's the way I move. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, moving on to informational items and disclosures by board members and CRA staff. Vice Chair?
Nothing to disclose at this time.
Board Member McCray.
Thank you. I have one disclosure. I received a phone call before I came here from Mr. Tom Warnke. Thank you.
Board Member Romulus.
I have the same disclosure. I also received a call and spoke to the gentleman Board Member McCray referred to, and he discussed that he would be speaking on one of the agenda items.
Board Member Pensurga.
I had a conversation with Michael Weiner regarding his properties.
Okay. I also spoke with Tom Warnke regarding one of the items on the board, and I just want to do something in the sunshine. Our Vice Chair put up some quotes on Facebook regarding our Family Dollar site. Regarding the Family Dollar site, I want to just make sure that it's in the sunshine. My comment, which, because he quoted me saying that there's private enterprises interested in it, it was only one, and that was the Ocean Breeze East, and I think that was because they thought we were going to buy it for $1.2 million. After speaking with Mr. Aiken, I stated that the private sector, because of schools, including charter, does a much better job than the government. However, private schools are not equitable, and that's why government may get involved to help disenfranchised areas improve economic development. And that was just for me because I felt that he heard my comments as hearsay and didn't know the whole meaning behind when I said there was another interested party. It was actually through our own attorney that stated that when he was speaking with Mr. Aiken. And so, and that's the other thing is that we can post items in front of the meeting when the agenda gets published, and because I also read your comments earlier that you posted about this item and your opinion on it. The issue is that I can't comment about that to the public where it's a one-sided view. And so I want to know if this board is okay not posting their public views before the meeting. You would want to post your public views before the meeting. All right, Vice Chair.
In favor of each of us adhering to the law, which doesn't in any way prohibit us from providing our opinions to the public, similar to giving quotes to a newspaper, posting something on social media, an opinion about city activities is completely in compliance with the sunshine. If you were to engage me or vice versa in a dialogue, that would violate the sunshine, but we're all free to exercise our First Amendment rights, and this is something that I've spoken to the city attorney in the past about, just to clarify whether or not we're allowed to post things on social media. And the explanation I was given was as long as it's a public posting, which means any human being on Facebook who types in Commissioner Katz would see this post, that it's absolutely in compliance with all laws in the state of Florida.
Correct, and the issue is that I can't comment on those, and so it's very difficult to have a discussion about a future item. And so I'll speak to your comments when we get to it on that item. Yes, Commissioner McCray.
Thank you. My take is that, what's going on here in the city of Boynton, we might as well just be honest. I'm just saying, people are going out front and center. They're speaking for the city, speaking for us. I'm just saying, this is a gray area, and I'm just saying whether it's posted or not, and when there's hot topic items that's coming up, I would like to say, please refrain from going to the newspaper because, first of all, any of us could pick up a paper and see how you feel and say, you know, this is the way they're going to be going. I'm just saying our comments should be really, you know, strictly, you know, until after the meeting. That's the way I feel. I don't make comments prior. I make them afterwards.
All right. Any further discussion for informational items and disclosures by the board? Seeing none, moving on to announcements and awards.
Good evening, Board. Mercedes Coppin, Business Promotions and Events Manager. As always, Pirate Fest was an incredible event. We had a great turnout. Despite the rainy weather that we experienced on Saturday, we had plenty of people come out to enjoy some swashbuckling adventures. We have prepared a PowerPoint presentation to recap the event. Would you like for us to present it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the event was held on October 26th and 27th in downtown Boynton Beach along East Ocean Avenue and Northeast 4th Street. Once again, we've used the Live Gauge software to gauge the event attendance. According to the software, there were approximately 33,000 people in attendance at this year's event. We also used a ticketing system with our children's activities, specifically with the balloon art and the face painting. This helped us to calculate and gauge how many people took advantage of those services. So we had 642 balloon art given out at the event and 546 face paintings. This year we had 707 people complete our survey that was conducted at the event. Based on the survey, we found out that 56% of the attendees that surveyed or that took the survey were first-time attendees. The attendance by location showed that the majority of people did not come from Boynton Beach, but from Palm Beach County in general, with 41% coming from Palm Beach County, 34% from Boynton Beach, and then we had 20% outside of Palm Beach County and 5% outside of the state. And our attendance shows that 70% of the people that took the survey were female, with 30% being male. I just want to go over the budget and the funds that were collected for the event. So for the event, the event budget was $336,250, with marketing at $44,500. On the right-hand side, you can see some of the key expenses that were expended for the festival, with entertainment being the top, followed by tents and staging, event management with standing ovations, and then electricity, and then the list goes on. For sponsorship, we secured $10,500 in paid sponsorship through the sponsors that are listed in the left column. And then we had almost $60,000 in in-kind sponsorships as well. As far as vendor fees that were collected for retail and art vendors, just a little over $17,000 was collected. And for the food and beverage vendors, it was $36,614. Moving on to community involvement. We are always trying to engage the community in various ways, so we had costume contests, our treasure hunt, which directly puts event attendees face-to-face with the CRA businesses that are participating at the event, and then we also had our mermaid pageant on Sunday, which is always fun. Altogether, we had 38 unique craft art retail vendors on site for this year's event. And we had 14 CRA merchants participate in our Enchanted Market. Once again, like I said, the festival attendees were encouraged to do our treasure hunt, which would put them in direct contact and interaction with those merchants. We had 100 volunteers that partnered with us for this event, which was great. We utilized them in our information booths, our treasure hunt booths, and with the children's activities to help out with those areas. And once again, we continued our partnership with Due South Brewing Company for the Pirates Rebellion. This year, we kind of expanded the promotion that we did, and the beer was featured on tap at 6 restaurants in the CRA area prior to and during the festival. And I'll pass it over to Tracy for marketing initiatives.
Tracy Smith Coffee, Marketing and Business Development. This year we had an amazing marketing campaign, as you can see. We have our character, Captain Hook, was featured in a lot of our collateral. We did print marketing in the Gateway Gazette. We partnered with the Sun Sentinel as a sponsorship, and we paid so many ads and they matched so many ads, so we had a lot of Sun Sentinel and Gateway Gazette ads that went out this campaign. We also did a full-page ad in the Delray newspaper, the Neighborhood News, which reaches out to the Western community, the Coastal Angler, and we also did posters and postcards throughout the city. Our Every Door Direct mailer is a big hit. That goes directly out to the Western community, to 10,000 homes. And this year we featured our sponsors on the bottom. We also did the same as we did last year. We did another movie theater where the 30-second video aired right before the movie. And we also did a screenshot advertisement in 2 other movie theaters. We did it in the movies of Lake Worth and the movies of Delray Beach. We had a very strong social media campaign this year, and staff created 143 organic posts, and 4 were paid ads, and we reached over 330,000 people. We had our iHeartRadio and video campaign again this year with Mermaid Shelley and Tim, our pirate. And we also, those videos appeared on the iHeartMedia blogs for each radio station and on social media. We did billboards on 10th Avenue, and we had 3 loops for each billboard that's pictured, and we also had a billboard on Gateway. We also had a billboard in Pompano as well. This year, here's our analytics for our website, and we have 14,790 new users and 63,089 for our page views. This year we stepped it up with our PTV. If any of you watched it, we had a lot of fun, and I think it's the best ever so far. Renee was one of our pirates that went up on the parasailing. And so we featured some of the businesses in our PTV, and also the beer and the event.
Okay, we got some really awesome photos of this year's event, and we are in the process of uploading everything to our Flickr account. So we will be posting on Facebook the link later this week with all the photos. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, Board Member McCray.
Thank you. First of all, Tracy, where were the billboard that was located in Pompano? Where was that located?
We had 3 billboards on 10th Avenue and 95.
No. Listen to me, please.
Oh, the one on Pompano. Okay, the Pompano billboard is when you're heading heading north, it would be on the right-hand side. It was a billboard that the north traffic saw on Copens, I think it was, Copens Road. I'll have to double check the actual street address. They gave me a screenshot of it.
Well, I'm glad you got a screenshot of it. I travel thus and forth from Broward County daily, and I don't recall seeing it. Okay, but what I need to, do is, because I got some phone calls, okay, in regards to the parking, ADA, and it wasn't right. And one of the guys that called me is Mr. Katz. I want him to come up and address this so that we could hammer this out tonight so that at the next time you all will know what we need to do, because when you do an event like this with ADA compliance, we was in a lot of trouble.
Excuse me, it's not public comments yet.
Well, this is an agenda item, and that's why it wouldn't go into public comments.
We're not done with the board, so I'll call for a public comment.
Mayor, excuse me, I know this is what you're saying, but this is something that needs to, please listen to me.
Excuse me, board, is this my meeting? It's our meeting.
It's not your meeting.
It's our meeting.
Thank you.
Am I the one that's running it?
You could do what, as long as you're in compliance, but I'm just saying, if the rest of them agree to let him speak, he can speak. I'm just saying.
I'd like to speak before he does.
Okay, then.
All right. And so I'd like to let the board speak as well. So do you have any other questions or comments from the board?
No, but after that, let him speak.
Absolutely.
But it's not your meeting.
It's our meeting.
Thank you.
Yes. Vice Chair, you had a comment?
I was just going to say I support adhering to the rules that we've exercised, at least for the past 4 years that I've been up here. So at the chair's discretion, per his statements, he'll allow for public comment at the appropriate time.
Yeah. Board Member Pinsurga.
Mercedes, I believe it was you who mentioned that you're using a technology called LiveGauge, is that right?
Yes, sir.
How many years have you been using that?
This would be the third year that we've used the service.
So what I'm curious about is, what is the pattern in attendance count? Has it been going up every year according to LiveGauge?
Not necessarily. It actually dipped this year, which I think was directly a result of the weather. Saturday it was very rainy, so I think that affected it. But average has been between 30 and 60,000 people for the past 3 years.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
Board Member Romulus.
So what were our numbers from the past 3 years that you can remember? Do you have any?
Last year it was just over 40,000, and the first year that we used the service, it was just under 60,000.
60 or 16?
60.
Okay.
So Mercedes, I did have a question. So when you showed us the numbers for the vendors amount, what % of their sales was that number?
So for the retail vendors, they pay a flat fee of $450. And then for the food and beverage vendors, they pay a 25% commission on their sales.
25%?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you. And so if you want to just see that number again. My other question is that what is the remaining household income percentages? You said 23% was between 50 and 75,000.
The household income?
Yeah, household income varied. The highest percentage, 23%, falling within the range of $50,000 to $74,999. It was part of the backup.
Gotcha. Sorry.
If you don't
I can get that to you. I don't have it in front of me right now, but I can certainly email that to you.
I'd like to just see the full range.
Absolutely.
And then I did the ribbon cutting for Florida Tackle, and they stated that their walk-in traffic doubled after being at Pirate Fest. And so,
Awesome.
yeah, I'm really happy of having the Enchanted Market. I think a lot of people really appreciated being east of 4th Street on Ocean Avenue for our CRA businesses, giving them the better position, I guess. And I'm really looking forward to this again next year, where you're going to have to redo everything.
Yes, we're looking forward to it too.
Board Member Romulus.
Mayor, you kind of piqued my interest with what you just said. I think this would be some good information and some good data to track from our SMOP. Am I saying the acronym right?
Yes.
Okay. From our SMOP team to see what are some of their data and feedback during and after our events like this, where we take over the whole avenue, especially
Absolutely.
Pirates Fest and our holiday parade and stuff like that. So maybe that's something that they can research and give us.
Okay,
some data on.
well, just so that you know, in the events department, after each event, we send out a feedback survey to all the vendors, including the business development vendors. So that has gone out, and we're just waiting for those surveys to come back so we can certainly present you with the results of that. It's basically gauging how successful the event was for them, if they made money, if they were happy with it, if they would suggest other people to do it, stuff like that.
So, you know, I'm always kind of looking at the numbers in terms of surveys and attendees, and I was doing the percentage, and it's pretty, I mean, kudos that you got 707 people to take the survey, but when you just kind of factor it into the overall attendees, it still just kind of doesn't give me like a good snapshot of the people who are there. So is there any way that we can improve our ability to get people to take surveys and kind of reward them or incentivize them to participate in some of these surveys that we're putting out? Like, I'm talking about the attendees during the event itself.
Right. Well, we actually did step it up with our giveaways for the surveys. So we actually had some really awesome giveaways. People were very excited about them. Like I said, we changed the way that we did the surveys this year, which may have affected how many surveys we got. We used iPads this year rather than a paper survey, which really helped us on the back end, so we didn't have to data enter all of the data after the event. But we only had 3 iPads at each of the information booths, so perhaps next year we could budget to have additional funding available for more iPads, and then we'd be able to probably survey more people.
I definitely like the sound of that, and I would simply just add, if you have any information or if you remember what our previous year's survey feedback was, or if you could just share that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have it all on file.
Because I don't remember us having this many survey feedback, did we?
We did. Yeah, last year, I don't know the exact number, but I feel like we had over 1,000 last year.
So then we've dipped on the survey, so the iPad maybe didn't work as well?
Well, again, first, like, we only had 3 iPads per information booth, whereas, you know, we could have had like 6 clipboards with paper surveys that we could have just been passing out. So I think if we increase the number of iPads, then it would be fine.
Okay.
I think that would be beneficial.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board Member McCray.
Thank you. During public comments, I will finish my comments in regards to Power Fest. Thank you.
Okay, does the board have anything else to say? Seeing none? Mr. Katz, thank you for being patient.
Thank you, I appreciate it. David Katz, 67 Bigwood Lane, Arthur City. I've attended the Ren Fair down in Deerfield for 12 years, Camelot Days down in TY Park, Vero Beach, and within the confines that this Pirate Fest has had to develop, they've done a great job. There's no doubt about it. There have been deficiencies, though, and those concerned basically around handicap access. When Mercedes came up prior to the Pirate Fest and explained where the handicap parking was going to be, it was going to be in Bradley Miller's parking lot. There were 14 spaces there, 1 which is actually enforceable. I called her. She said there would be either a police officer or a community service aide there, making sure whoever came in had a handicap placard, like you do at July 4th when they have it here. And when I pulled up with a friend in her van, and she has a handicap placard, the first day, there were 2 police cars parked there and 4 other cars that did not have handicap placards. So close to 50% of the allocated handicap spots were taken up with cars that were not handicap cars. Go to find out, 3 or 4 of those cars were vendor cars. So the policing that was supposed to be done, I use that in quotes, never existed. And that's 14 spaces for Go to Find Out is 33,000 people. So I don't know what the message you're sending out is because, well, we don't want to have handicapped people. There are people in wheelchairs, walking wounded, call it what you want. So there needs to be more handicap parking the next time, or there needs to be at least better policing of that parking lot at least. Because if you know anything about the handicap parking spot, you can only give a ticket if you're parked in a properly marked handicap spot, like we're downstairs. Everything else, you know, you don't have to get a ticket. And that's the need for the person not to allow just those who have handicap placards. And there's positive identification for that. The other issues were, if you're familiar with the Pirate Fest, there were porta potties towards the, I'd call it towards the Boynton Beach exit, where Bradley Miller's parking lot was. There were no handicap porta potties unless I didn't see them, and I apologize if that's the case. and those that were there were not handicap accessible because the sidewalk came and then it was a dirt path. And if you're in a wheelchair, you can't get there. You just can't get there. Also, the area concerning where the artillery was, and that whole area in there was just east of the railroad tracks. You need to have something that allows wheelchairs to be able to locomote through there. Bobby Rodriguez, who does the Ren Fair down in Deerfield, he ran into a DOJ complaint because he didn't have those one year. And so we had to supply them where there was dirt so people could get around. It just needs to happen. You need to either team up with, there's an ADA coordinator, and Lori, I don't know if there is one for the city. They need to get with you when you're doing the next Pirate Fest to make sure all these things are met. Because there is the possibility of a DOJ complaint and a lawsuit if somebody chooses to want to do that. And they'll have proof. See, I'm just asking you to make sure it happens, that's all. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member McCray.
Yeah, I'll make my comments now instead of public comments. This is what I'm saying in regards to DOJ. I'm just saying, you know, we left ourselves open for a hell of a lawsuit. And I'm just saying, thank God it was a citizen here in Boynton who was making the complaint. And I'm just saying, you know, we need to tighten up. I do admit that parking was a problem. The space itself was a problem, but we still have to be in compliance. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from the board? Thank you. Move on to the next item, Ocean Breeze East groundbreaking and Sarah Sims Park ribbon cutting.
Okay, so last Saturday on November 9th, we had the scheduled Ocean Breeze East groundbreaking and the Sarah Sims Park grand opening and ribbon cutting. Unfortunately, due to inclement weather, the grand opening and the ribbon cutting that was scheduled for Sarah Sims was canceled, and we are hoping to be able to reschedule that event if the board desires. But we were able to do a quick groundbreaking for the Ocean Breeze East project, and I have placed a photo there on the screen of everyone that was in attendance or that participated.
Any questions from the board?
Not from that, but my question is in regards to Sarah Sims Park. I'm just saying some of the citizens felt like we should reschedule, and I probably have to get with, you know, the city to find out about rescheduling. But my take is that, you know, the ribbon cutting, the park is still being used, but I'm just saying we need to do it sooner than later. I'm just saying to get it out of the way.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the next item, Holiday Parade and Light Up the Park event on Saturday, December 7th, 2019 at 6 p.m.
Okay, so the Light Up the Park event will take place on Saturday, December 7th at Dewey Park and the surrounding area. This is a family-friendly event that is going to take place from 6 to 8 p.m. It will directly follow the City of Boynton Beach Holiday Parade, and we will be lighting the banyan trees at approximately 6:30 p.m. Attendees can look forward to live music, food and beverages, children's activities, and a meet and greet with Santa Claus. Any questions?
Seeing none. Move on to 48th Annual Boynton Beach and Delray Beach Holiday Boat Parade.
Okay, so the Holiday Boat Parade will take place on Friday, December 13th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at the Boynton Harbor Marina. The boat parade will kick off at the old Key Lime House near Lantana Bridge, make its way through Boynton Beach, and then culminate at the C-15 Canal in Delray Beach, which is just south of Linton Boulevard. We are currently accepting registrations for boats, and the registration form can be filled on our website, www.catchboynton.com. For the watch party at the Boynton Harbor Marina, we will have music, children's activities, and a visit from Santa Claus. Two Georges will have food and beverage available for purchase at their outside bar. And we are also partnering with Marine Toys for Tots, and we'll be accepting toys the night of the event along the docks that are on the parade route and at the marina.
All right, and Two Georges will have valet parking,
Yes, they will.
and so that would that cover us for the ADA requirement?
Well, there is, as far as I know, there's handicap parking at the marina, designated spaces.
Okay, thank you. Board Member McCray.
Thank you. I seen the advertisement in the Delray newspaper. Also, I heard Channel 12 make mention about Delray was calling all captains. I'm just saying, I was kind of like taking a notice of joint venture. I'm just saying, I didn't hear him say anything about Boynton. And where are you all advertising the boat parade? What newspaper?
The month of November, we do a calling all boat captains, boat owners to participate in the event to get people to want to decorate their boats to be in the parade. Our December ads will be for the actual events. So in December, when the ads come out, they come out December 1st, and that would be for the Light Up the Park and for the Holiday Boat Parade. And those are in publications, Delray Newspaper, Neighborhood News, Gateway Gazette. We do a huge social media campaign on that. And the movie theater, all the same things that we do for PyroFest, we do for the other events too.
Tracy, for myself, anybody else could do whatever they want to. Just get the clippings out the newspaper and let me see them, okay? I'm not questioning that you all are not doing it, but that's a backup for the board members. I'm just saying, when we're paying for advertisement, you know, if it's appeared in the newspaper, just like we do with all the other things here in Boynton, just get a clip and say, this was in this newspaper, this was in this magazine, so I know that we are advertising. I can't catch everything, but I would like to know that we are trying to advertise.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bonnie, would you like to show the other ads in response to Board Member McCrae's question? The items A through, exhibits A through E are examples of the ads that were put into the Gateway Gazette, Neighborhood News, the movie theaters, the Delray Beach newspaper, the Coastal Angler. So we don't have to wait till next month. They are here.
Excuse me, I want to wait till they come out, please.
Okay.
So, thank you.
I have no problem clipping them out of the paper.
All right. We're good. We'll move on to our next item, which is the 2019 IEDC IDA award announcement.
The Boynton Beach CRA has been on a award-winning streak. We are ending this year with some fabulous awards. We've received 18 awards for marketing, social media, and economic development efforts. The CRA submitted entries to 4 industry associations that honor the hard work and recognize the organization's accomplishments. Renee is going to talk about the IEDC award that we won for the SMOC program, and I'll come back and talk about the IDA award for the marina.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Renee Roberts, Communications and Social Media Specialist. The International Economic Development Council Excellence in Economic Development Awards recognize the world's best economic development programs and partnerships, marketing materials, and the year's most influential leaders. These awards honor organizations and individuals for their efforts in creating positive change in their communities. The Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency received the Silver Award in Business Retention and Expansion Initiatives category for the Social Media Outreach Program. This award honors economic development initiatives that focus on retaining and growing existing businesses within communities and regions. Applicants demonstrate extensive cross-community collaboration and the ability to adapt. This award recognizes effective, innovative programs and initiatives. Some past winners of this award include the Palm Beach County, the City of Burbank, California, and the City of New Orleans Business Alliance. Do you have any questions regarding this award?
No. Thank you.
I do.
Yes. Board Member Romulus.
I see line item $700. Does that mean they paid us or we paid them?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I see general fund line item budget $700. Fiscal impact. Does that mean we received that or we paid this? What does the $700 mean?
We paid that. Those are the application fees for all of those various entries.
That's for all of the awards total, not just this single award.
It doesn't include the awards.
So this includes FRA as well?
It's our budget, yes. That's what we spent overall for the season of submissions.
And the benefit of that is that this goes out internationally of our award.
Yes, sir.
We won. So it's not a guarantee, but I think it worked out well for us.
Yes, sir.
Board Member McCrae.
Thank you. I'd like to say congratulations since nobody else want to say it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congrats. I was getting there.
It's assumed.
All right. Tracy?
So now I'm going to talk about the International Downtown Association Award for the Achievement of Excellence. During the Downtown Association Conference, the 65th Annual Downtown Association Conference, the Boynton Beach CRA was recognized with the Downtown Achievement Award of Excellence in the Public Space category for the completion of the Boynton Harbor Marina redevelopment project. On the screen, I have a small PowerPoint that walks you through the different phases of the completion of the Boynton Harbor Marina redevelopment project. This is the master plan that we created when we first started. And phase 1 was completed in March 2010. And part of the restoration was dredging the basin, new piers, new docks, electrical and water meters. The second part of phase 1, completed in January of 2011, the entry feature lighthouse and landscape. And phase 2 was the Marina Dock Master Building and Ship Store, and that was completed in December of 2014. And the third phase was completed in January of 2017, and that was the Marina Open Space Project, green space and seating areas. The CRA utilizes the marina waterfront to host business promotional events such as Rock the Marina and Lionfish Derby and the annual Holiday Boat Parade.
Yes, Board Member McCray.
Thank you. Tracy, what building did we raise your either might to make that happen?
What did we, I'm
What
sorry.
building we tore down?
We tore down the I guess it was the retail on the first floor and the apartment on the second floor. So it's a small retail building. That was the splashdown dive shop.
The
Dive
phase
shop.
3.
Okay, I just want to say, see what happens when we think outside of the box. A couple commissioners did not want us to tear it down. They wanted it to be utilized for something else. But going forward, you know, with the vision, this is what we accomplished.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
I was one of those commissioners. I love that building.
I knew that was coming.
It's a better picture than it actually looked, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none. Anything for information only? Seeing none. Moving on to public comments. Individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. 3 things to talk to you guys tonight about. First of all, my family has owned the building where Fashion Shops Boutique is for, I don't know, some obscene amount of decades. Fashion Shops is actually moving. They're leaving. They're retiring. So after 20 years of being in our buildings, they will be closing and leaving on March 31st. So we are looking for tenants. There's 2 big bays, which equals small 6 bays. So on the odd chance anyone knows anyone who is looking for space on Ocean Avenue, please come find me. Second thing I just passed out is what was in the newspaper on Sunday. I've gotten grief while sitting on P&D, and when projects would leave P&D and come here or to the city commission, oh, why is Susan complaining about the palm trees? But here you go. Here's the proof I was right. The palm trees are not very good at recycling and absorbing carbon, and here's the big story that was in the Palm Beach Post Sunday about all the ways that canopy trees are better than palm trees, which is why I've been advocating all along to, drastically reduce the amount of palm trees. I know when I was at the groundbreaking the other day, I was asking the developers what the status was on those beautiful canopy trees, and they really couldn't tell me much, which doesn't make me think positive things are going to happen with relocating or saving those beautiful canopy trees. And obviously, some of them are dying and need to go, but there's a lot of beautiful ones there. And they were talking to me about all the ways palm trees should go up and down the street, and I reminded them that that's probably not the best choice, hadn't they seen the newspaper story. And then they quickly started saying something else about, oh, maybe we will put canopy trees. So I am once again here asking you to make sure canopy trees end up in Ocean Breeze East. And the last thing I'm here to talk to you about tonight is a reminder that the Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, November 29th, is the official Sister Cities signing paperwork with our upcoming new sister city, Farindola, Italy. And it's at Benvenuto's, and the commission board are invited. It's free for you guys, so please take advantage of it. And I hope to see you all there. And I sent you all an email with the preliminary calendar so you can start planning, hopefully, to attend some of the things we're doing with our visitors from Italy. Thank you very much.
Susan, before you leave, the boutique, is that the men's store?
Yes, it was a women's store when it was in the mall for years, and then when they moved to our buildings, they became a men's store.
And that's going to be March 31st, 2020.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure so I can tell my boss, so he come from Fort Lauderdale to shop there, so he can stay in Fort Lauderdale now. Thank you.
Yeah, he's got 6 months left to buy up their inventory. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Anyone else for public comments? We got item 10, CRA projects in progress. 10A, CRA Economic and Business Development Update.
Yes, Board, this is just a monthly update of our economic development and commercial improvement grant programs. We started out on October 1st with our budget of $448,000 in overall grant funding for the year, fiscal year 2019 and 20. If the evening passes this evening, and based on the October meeting, we will have given out $91,264, and the remaining fund balance for the rest of the year is $356,736. We have a list of business tax receipts that have been issued in September and October of 2019. I'm happy to read those off, or certainly they're there for your knowledge.
All right. Any questions? Seeing none. Moving on to the next item, 10B, Palm Beach County Housing Authority Project Update.
Yes, Board, this item is an update of our recent activities and continued activities with negotiations of staff, the executive director and her property management staff, Larry Greenberg. Just an update on our continued activities there. We have had several meetings, the most recent of which was October 3rd. October 3rd. That was when we met with the planning department and Mr. Greenberg, and then we had a subsequent meeting to October 3rd before Pirates with the Habitat for Humanity staff and the staff of the CDC at our office with Larry to discuss the possibility and their interest in building affordable housing on those lots, as well as the CRA's support, again, of affordable housing. And it was on October 22nd. The end result of that meeting was a very positive response from Mr. Greenberg, although obviously deferring to the actions of his board, the future actions of his board and the director on whether or not that is something that could be pursued as a partnership or as a disposal. But he did notify us that they are submitting their disposal application to HUD, and we should get some response from them over the next 90 to 120 days, and we'll keep you posted as we get information from them.
All right, thank you. Item 10C, Historic Women's Club Boynton Beach Project Update.
Yes, Board. Twee Shut for the record. This is an update, your monthly update of what is happening with the construction with the painting, interior and exterior painting and waterproofing project for the Historic Women's Club Boynton Beach. We're also going to report to you regarding the grant that we submitted to the state for the Women's Club. It's a special category grant with the Division of Historic Resources.
I provided a brief update or the details of the grant. We applied for $400,000 with a match of $403,000. We did not get the adequate scoring for that. However, we did learn.
To interrupt, it said we got 79 out of 80 or 79.
79, their points that's required to forward this to the state legislatures to fund in this upcoming budget, they drew it at 80 points.
How many grant applications were there?
There were 50, I believe, 7 applications, and most of those were at least second-time applicants. So it's a
So this is our first time at it?
It's our first time, yes.
And so the fact is that we may be able to find a point next year?
Yeah, we can try again. We have the format and formula down. So if you recall, the city.
Before you continue, what was the thing that kept us from like reaching that limit?
So I did a quick, I did attend there, and I learned that being there really counts. Even though you can participate via conference call, they'd like to put a face to the applicant. The biggest thing that really set us back was the fact that this particular board does not like replacement of historic windows. So one of the things that we said is if...
No, what? I'm sorry?
Their board, not our board.
Their board. Yeah, I'm sorry. Their committee that reviews it. It's a Meisner building, and the original wood windows, some of it are pretty far gone. They would like it to be restored or reconstructed versus replacing them with an impact-resistant window. And I think we said if we cannot restore it, it would probably be something that we would like to have entertained because of the wind pressure that you would need to get the envelope secure in case of a hurricane. So that's one of the things that set us back. That's really a business decision.
I'm just giving you this look because I'm like, we're in Florida, and yet they want us to replace.
But it's
this is a
they're in
20-something window.
But they're in Tallahassee, correct?
Yes, and also it's a historical.
Is that because they still have 1920 windows in Tallahassee? What's going on? I don't understand.
You know, and hopefully they'll, you know, after Hurricane Michael, it's.
Well, also that's one of the priorities was for, you know, they were given preferences to any buildings that were damaged due to the storm, and also any kind of strengthening. So I'm sure a lot of the asking that they had were a couple cities had asked for a large amount for restoring or fixing hurricane damage.
Yeah, Chui, out of the 57 applicants, you said it was their second and third, but it was their second, third, and fourth according to our backup.
Yes, there were a lot of seconds and thirds tries. So, but with that, the results and the scoring as well as the overall ranking are attached. And from what I understand from staff also, even though there were 30-something applications that were forwarded to the state legislator, it's solely at the legislator's discretion on how much to fund, depending on the governor's priorities. So again, there's a lot of lobbying between this committee's results and the time the governor signs the bill for the budget. I mean, signs the approval for the budget. So with that, we've also attached the progress that's been happening into the report, befores and afters from what you saw last month. As you can see, it's a beautiful building. So please, you know, we want to thank you for selecting not the cheapest, but also the most responsible and responsive bidder that was there. They've done a great job with very little oversight from staff. And they were, as of last Friday, they were all cleaned up, packed up, everything was removed. So they've, in my opinion, have met really close to the substantial completion. We're going to do a punch list walkthrough soon. And that will finish up and wrap up this project in time for us to file for the remaining $37,000 or so from the Solid Waste Authority that we applied and got for the grant to do this.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any questions, I'm here.
All right.
Great. Thank you, Chui.
Seeing none?
Wait.
Yep.
First, I just want to say, I mean, from the pictures, it looks absolutely stunning. But when can we, as the board, go and take a look?
Anytime. Anytime. Just let us know, and we'll run right over and meet you over there.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
You should. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Moving on to consent agenda. I'd like to pull item A.
I'd like to pull D.
You said D?
D as in dog.
Thank you. Vicki, my one question, I think I said it was last time, is that what does the CRA have in the bank account? I know that this includes some line items that will be spent, but I just want to know how much we have because, 2 years ago we found an extra $3 million there.
Good evening, Board Chair and Board. This is Vicki Hill. And as of today's date, we have $13,947,604.68 in the bank.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, that's going to be, Chair, that's going to be C and D.
All right, may I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? And so, just for consent agenda, you wanted which ones again?
C and D in regards to Guaca Company.
Guaca Go Corp?
Corp, yep.
All right. Yes, what was your question?
My question is, can you explain to me about your company since we're giving you all money?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we've been a mobile company for about 3 years now. We've done events all over South Florida, anywhere from West Palm Beach down to Miami. And we do house-made guacamole bowls, all fresh made. We're going to have a plethora of different fresh toppings. And our basic value is to bring a healthy, fast, casual aspect to Ocean Avenue.
And I see you're using biodegradable. Okay,
Yes.
it's going to be guaca. What else?
Guaca Go.
What else would go? What else you'll be serving? This is what I need to be knowing. I'm just saying, is everything just going to be guacamole or whatever y'all call it?
Yes. There's going to be guacamole, but there's also going to be sweet potato options, protein options, different drink options, and dessert options. And smoothies.
Thank you. You're not a very good salesperson, but thank you. I'm saying I'd have been pushing my company.
You're probably making her nervous.
I don't make people nervous.
Yeah, we're a little nervous.
I think this is a great story. This is the food mobile business that now is occupying a brick and mortar location, and we have used them at numerous CRA events, as well as the other events that they do in South Florida. So this is really kind of a great story, and certainly will be part of our social media campaign and everything else that the CRA does. But if you want a poster child for how you take the business out of the truck into the building, this is it. So thank you, Board, and for your support, and thank you guys for all your hard work and accomplishment. Really.
Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Excuse me, see how you sold your business to me? Thank you.
Yeah, just wanted to thank you for not only choosing Boynton Beach, but for choosing this location. I know that adjacent to you guys on the corner of 500 Ocean is another small business that's going to be moving in. It's called like the Butcher and the Bar, so it's like a meat/beer tap room. And this is a...
You would know.
Sounds awesome. But the individuals who are opening that similarly operate kind of a mobile food atmosphere, and they're over at Devour Brewery, they're over at Matthews Brewery, so it's great to see small businesses upgrading to be slightly less small, but still small businesses coming to our downtown area. So thank you for your interest and your investment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Yeah.
I'm going to offer a motion. I'm going to do it together to approve items C and D, Chair.
Second for discussion.
Yes.
Our resident brewery extraordinaire is over here. He knows all the breweries in the city. He frequents them very often. So I'm pretty sure he'll be at your neighbors very often.
Awesome.
Welcome to the neighborhood. We're happy to have you all. Can I ask you, are you guys husband, wife?
Boyfriend and girlfriend of a long time.
Y'all just look alike. It's just
You're talking about me.
they look alike. I was like, I was just curious. I mean, I was like, almost like, are you guys brother sister? It's so cute. You guys look alike, so it means you've been together for a while. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great confidence in
don't
your
lead
business.
together.
All right. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to 14A, consideration, discussion of the purchase and sale agreement with the Bride of Christ Tabernacle Church for the CRA-owned property located at Northeast 10th Avenue.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion from the board?
Yes.
Yes.
I need to know from staff, what are we going to be doing about the fence? Will it be fenced in? Is there anything in there? What are they saying?
The fence that exists on the property now will be removed as part of the new project.
Thank you, sir. And the next question is, would there be an access off of MLK Boulevard entering their property?
Yes, you'll enter the daycare from the East MLK Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Thank you, Bride of Christ. That was my concerns. Thank you.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
The applicant.
If the project manager would please come up to the podium.
As you approach, I just need a brief answer on when do you plan to break ground?
Please state your name and address for the record.
Vera Marie Verna, representing the acting project manager for Bride of Christ Church. We had a discussion on that subject with the attorney. So the attorneys, a prominent attorney in Boca, has been representing them with talks with Mr. Grant, and we discussed what they called a starting date. So we were given an extension because we couldn't get ready by December the 11th, and so they did give us another. They didn't. I'm not going to say I had anything to do with it because the attorneys negotiated all these items, but the start date they said that we would have a year to start, but they weren't defining what start means. So you get the permit. So we have to go do the plans. We have a lot to do with the city that Mr. Comerford recommended, the attorney for the buyers. And so we intend to start immediately as soon as we can. We're doing the drawings now, but we have a lot to do with planners, drawing. We have to go back to the city council for the unity of title. So the attorney, I was present when the attorney was discussing with the church, their attorney, and I thought that it was covered pretty well, that he was going to take care of it with your attorney. So that's about all I can tell you. They signed the contract, and the changes were sent so that they could be put on the agenda, and so I can't really, we're starting it now. We have to start it now because we won't be ready. It took 2 years to finish when we built the original church because there was so much to do, not only with the permitting, but with designing and making sure that we were okay with the plan, that it would be approved. And so that's where we are now with the architects and trying to finish within that time period. After we put our $5,000 down, after you sign it, then that's where we are.
I got a question for our attorney, Catherine. So I see in the property reverter clause, they have to, I guess, commence construction within 12 months. What does the definition of commence construction mean? Submit plans to the city, because we know that sometimes it goes back and forth for a long time.
Commence construction usually has a more physical impact than that, but we can always make an adjustment to the contract if we need to give them more time because of things out of their control or for any other reason the board wants to.
So yeah, I don't think it's reasonable to ask them to break ground and get a permit with 12 months because of all the different things that have going on with the city and everything like that. I'm happy to give them the 24 months, the 2 years to break ground. I think that's something fair, especially because they're paying full price, and so I don't want them, another CRA, to say, hey, they didn't break ground yet, sorry you spent all this money, but we're going to take it back. So I don't know if the board is okay with that. Yes, Board Member McCray.
Thank you. We're okay with it. I'm just saying, I'm not speaking for Board Member Romulus, but she just wanted to know from you all, when did you all expect to break ground? We was not saying what the date will be. I'm just saying, y'all got 2 years. I'm just saying, so I just said within 2 years, y'all hope to break ground. I'm just saying,
Right.
I want a date certain.
Yes.
But I think...
I'll say per the board chair's point, there is a date certain in this contract, so if the board would like to extend that date, I'll just need a motion to pass, and we can make that change in assuming that you would sign the contract if we extended your time.
Yes, we did. And then I have, the attorney sent me
Into the microphone, please.
I'm sorry, the attorney sent me, their attorney sent me the answer to why that had to be done at the closing, because there were 2 errors in the contract that he found that were not corrected by the attorney. And one of them was pertaining to what you were talking about, but also to the fact that the reverter contract stated that they had to be in possession of it before they could. He cited the 2 recitals, and so the attorneys. I have a copy of it for each one of you. The email that was sent from the attorney saying that I will make the corrections, which he did not make, and he said I will. You can sign the reverter agreement at contract at the time that we close. And so I don't know what to think about that, but I did make copies of it so that you could see that it was from your attorney.
Yeah.
I made copies for each of you if you wanted to note that. So we are.
Are you in agreement with the changes that he suggested?
Yes, we are, because he says in the email, which I asked the attorney to give me, because I was shocked that they weren't done in time to be able to get it to you guys. And he said that the attorney was saying, well, we can do it, but your attorney was saying since it was listed as an exhibit, it did not have to be signed now. And so we thought it had to be signed now. But the contract that they used was a general contract, which even pertained to properties that had buildings on it. And so that's why we spent a lot of time with their attorney trying to figure it out. But the email that the attorney sent me, because I knew that the attorney wouldn't be here. So that's all I can tell you. I'm not an attorney, but I'm glad that you recognize that that's a short amount of time to get ready.
Yeah, I don't expect, especially in today's climate. So I guess, Catherine, would that make it legal that they would have to re-sign it, and we'd have to, for the 24
Well, correct. Any change that we make tonight will have to be re-signed, and so you could approve it subject to legal finalization.
Okay.
Those 2 items being changed.
So, yeah.
Sure.
So may I have a motion to extend the commence to was it property reverter clause to 24 months for commencing construction from 12, subject to legal approval.
So move.
We already have a motion, I think,
No,
Vice Chair.
yes, I thank you for reminding me. So we'd have to ask the Vice Chair to amend his motion.
Second.
All right. Catherine, you have all the information you need?
Yes.
All right. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. So all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Chair.
Yeah.
I just want to make a brief statement in regards to this item. I want to congratulate the members of Bride of Christ Tabernacle, I believe I'm saying that name properly, Church. Congratulations on this. And I would say, this is what I, in my personal opinion, view as being a community partner, where you're not just in the community, but then you're also doing things to improve the community. And this is what I like to see, where we have local businesses and local nonprofits and organizations that expand their footprint within the area that they're serving and are giving back in that sense. So I just want to congratulate them. And I also was very touched to have the to have our invocation today done in my native language. So that also was very touching. So thank you for praying for us this evening to start off our meeting. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. So our next item is old business, consideration of a purchase and sale agreement for the property located at 100 East Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, formerly known as Family Dollar.
Yes, Board, the item before you is the return of the owner's response to your most recent offer approved at the October meeting, countering or offering to purchase the property for $1.2 million and receiving a counter from the owner, which is the item before you this evening, of $1.85 million. So you presented an offer, and his response, similar to all real estate transactions, your home and otherwise, he is countering at the $1,850,000.
All right. So, Vice Chair, regarding so to summarize, you put on Facebook, I spoke to Mr. Aiken, and the reason why he rescinded the offer was because of a settlement with Family Dollar for $1.3 million. And part of our purchase and sale agreement is that he would get that as part of his in addition to the $1.2 million that we were going to buy the property from. And that would make it a capital gains tax of long term, which would be 15%. Because his offer for Family Dollar was time certain, he took the $1.3 million, but it wasn't considered capital gains, it was considered ordinary income. And so he had to pay tax at the 35% rate, which is the max personal, because I would believe that this would be an S corporation. And so it's the difference in tax is $260,000 that was paid to the federal government rather than taking our original offer. And so that's kind of where I had that additional information because I spoke with him. It's not that he's trying to be punitive by offering more. It's because of the business aspect of taxes. I don't believe the property is worth 1.85. And so, the most that I would do is, the additional, tax that he had to pay because it's still below his original cost of, what is it? So it'd be close to 1.46. But, I understand that some of this board doesn't want to spend any more money in it. And my whole thing is that we have an offer to buy property south of Boynton Beach Boulevard for a similar amount of money that are much older buildings, but it's more desirable because it's closer to our city center. And the reason why I was so excited about this is trying to build wealth in the community and have equity. Because when the CRA owns it, similar to the Historic Women's Club, the community actually owns it. It's not a private enterprise where we can make decisions that are bettering the community. One of the examples that I believe you voted against was the AmeriGas purchase, where the three of us said, we need to purchase this property even though it's above the appraisal value because we need to get this out of the CRA because it's a slum and blight. It wasn't because it was a property that could no longer do business, and we needed to make sure. And as you can see now, 3 years later, it looks very nice. I'm so happy to see that South Florida Marine can show off their boats now, because otherwise they're always behind the building or in the building. And I believe that our decision was correct to give it to them. And so I'm here to listen to the board to see what their position is regarding this property. I don't believe the property owner wants to have another long-term tenant unless it is a big corporation. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm here to hear, what you would like to do it, because I don't feel leaving it vacant or letting private enterprise wait for private enterprise. But if that's the will of the board, I will go along with that. So, Board Member McCray, then Vice Chair.
Okay, my take is, and this is my feeling tonight, and I'm just saying, you said that you had the conversation with this guy.
Yes.
One-on-one. This sounds like a broker deal. I'm just saying, I'm trying to figure out, I felt more comfortable if, I'd have heard it coming from the chair of our CRA director. I'm just saying, this is like a gray slope, and I'm going to say it tonight, is when we start going out discussing things in regards to this city, and like saying that, it's like you're trying to speak for all of us because nobody contacted me. I'm just saying I would have loved to heard the same thing that you heard, and this is a gray area, and dealing with, ethics and stuff like that, I am totally confused, like why you would go and have a discussion without letting us know that you're going to have a discussion with somebody that's trying to sell this property to us, sir. I think it's wrong. I'm sorry.
Yes, Vice Chair. So I do concur that with Board Member McCray, that if the property owner had some relevant information that was the basis for his decision-making, and we're in the process potentially of acquiring the property for in excess of $1.2 million, he probably should have shared that, if not publicly because he didn't want to disclose his business dealings, by way of reaching out to individual board members. Whether I missed a call, I don't know. Again, I was across the country, but I didn't hear anything, or I don't have any voicemails or any contacts from the property owner. So in regards to that, if there's pertinent information to our decision-making process, the property owner should bring that forward. Just to clarify, with regards to the social media post, I shared a Palm Beach Post article and then commented on my post. I take your concerns about that seriously. I didn't say anything offensive. In fact, I said if what you said in conveying what the property owner said was true, that's awesome. That was my quote, because I didn't vote to support the repurchase of this property. So if private parties, and that's what the Palm Beach Post reported, they said parties, plural, offers, plural, were interested, that's great, because then we don't have to spend the money and somebody will occupy it and make sure that it stays active. So I just want to make sure nobody thinks that there was some sort of, internet back and forth. I shared an article from the Palm Beach Post. It's the model of social media, basically, so it's fairly common. To the actual property itself, this is my logic behind not wanting to purchase this property, and it goes back to having been an economics teacher for a great period of time. Anytime I try to make a decision, whether it's here or in the city capacity on the commission, is not only do I say, do I want to do this, but then I say, what is the opportunity cost? What else could we do with the resources that we're talking about allocating for this purpose? And I look at MLK Boulevard, I look at properties running east on MLK Boulevard and the potential to expand this project in that direction, because we don't really have much. We have a couple of parcels spread out, but the way I look at this is the Family Dollar plot, the CRA has already invested in excess of $800,000 or $900,000 in that. We're talking about potentially putting another 1.2 up to, I guess, 1.85 now is the ceiling on the price per the counter from the property owner. If I was going to spend $1.2 to $1.8 million acquiring property on MLK Boulevard right now to enhance Centennial's project, or just in general to acquire property to do something else with, I wouldn't spend that money to reacquire a piece of property that we already redeveloped. So we're talking about redeveloping something and more than doubling the price tag to the taxpayers. What I would like to do, if we were determined to spend $1 to $2 million on MLK Boulevard acquiring property, would be to look at other properties particularly, and I have no desire to give any money to the owner of the Bells Market, but if we're talking about enhancing this property, the Centennial project, the MLK project, Bells Market sits dead center and literally bifurcates our project in half. We have to build around Bells Market. So again, this is a place that has been at the nexus of some negative activity in the community for a very long time. I would rather spend this money making an offer to them just to get rid of Bells Market and to acquire that land to redevelop it into additional retail space for the project, because everyone always talks about wanting retail and commercial, not just residential. So my opposition to acquiring the Family Dollar is that, my opinion is the CRA did its job. We gave grants and land equal to almost $1 million to the property owner. They built a very nice new building, and now it sits vacant, a casualty of the Family Dollar Corporation shutting down 400 stores throughout the country. So I don't even know if it was necessarily that this location was doing so terribly. It was just probably the bottom 400. The point is, if we're going to drop $1.2, $1.8 million on MLK, let's kill two birds with one stone, acquire the property that's in the middle of the project that causes us to build around it, not the property that's on the end of the project that is brand new, that we've already invested in. So it's an opportunity cost calculation on my part. That's kind of where I stand on that.
All right. Yes, Board Member McCray.
Thank you. My take is that the history of this CRA in Boynton, we had a building already on MLK Boulevard. It used to be called Booker T's. Okay, it was a restaurant right across from Bell's. And we built the building. I think we had our police department, they was using it as a substation. And then, for whatever reason, they voted to tear it down. It's been left vacant. My take is that, you know, seem like we keep throwing good money after bad money. And I'm like the same way with Vice Chair. You know, I don't think we need to do anything with the Family Dollar. It's up and running. It's not our problem right now. It's the owner's problem. I'm just saying we need to acquire property so that everything will look nice there. And we need to go after, like he said, after Bell's property. If we go after any property on there, this building is already standing. We invested $850,000, and I'm tired of just wasting good money after bad money. I'm not in favor of it either.
All right. Anyone else from the board? And my only comment is that, you know, we haven't heard from about Mr. Bell's property in a while. I've been there a couple times recently. The 10-minute, what is it? I guess parking and the 1 hour parking along Martin Luther King, I think, is definitely providing dividends. And you know, I'd like to see if we can get any of the statistics for crimes there, because it has changed greatly, and the community is going there. And I would be happy to, you know, whether it's invest or buy into that property moving forward. So what I'd like to ask this board is to see if we have a consensus to have our executive director speak to Mr. Bell and see what we can do together, whether it means purchase, what his purchase price is, or if he wants additional funds to make it look better.
You want it in a motion?
Yes, please.
So move.
Second.
This is to direct.
To direct the executive to go and speak to Mr. Bell about his property. Not Mr. Bell, the Bell family, because Mr. Bell don't own that property. Thank you.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And is there a motion or anything regarding the 14B item? Yes, Vice Chair.
Just to some of your comments and insight on the property owner's decision making. So you're saying now, because of the tax implications of his alternative potential decision, that our offer to acquire it to match what he currently stands to make would have to come up in the $1.4 to $5 million range?
Well, you know, I just did the math in the sense that if he, you know, he spent, if he got, what is it, the 1.3 million as ordinary income, it was $455,000 in federal income tax, not to say that he doesn't have offsets, and that if that 1.3 million from Family Dollar was at the capital gains rate, it would be 195,000. And so there's about a $260,000 difference between those numbers. And so that's kind of why, you know, the property pays about $40,000 in property tax each year. And so in essence, I'm sure it's somewhere around $10,000 maybe to upkeep the property. I'm being very conservative with that it's going to cost $50,000 a year to leave it vacant, where he can, in essence, leave it vacant for a couple of years and wait for the surrounding area to improve. And we have a vacant building there, not helping the economy of that area, because the only commercial location is the Cherry Hill Mart, the Bell's MLK Quick Stop, the salon there, Robinson's Barbecue, and I believe there's a new janitory service that's going in where the old barbershop was. Yes, Board Member McCray.
Thank you. We're receiving like how much taxes? $45,000 off of this property?
I can look that up for you.
Okay, excuse me, I'm gonna keep talking. If we're receiving money, then we're helping the economy around there. My whole take is with this, and I'm just saying, you know, in the near future, if you all go and talk to the owner or anybody about property that you know that we are going to have to discuss, tell them to address their concerns with the director of the CRA, so we don't have to hear from one board member telling the rest of the board. I'm just saying that's why we have a director for the CRA. I feel very uncomfortable, and I'm going to keep saying it, you know, that I'm hearing it from the chair of this board. who went and took it upon himself. Did he contact you or you contacted him?
I contacted him before the
That's
October
what I'm
meeting
talking about.
because I wanted to understand why he rescinded his offer, and that's when he gave me that extra information. He also mentioned that Ocean Breeze East LLC was interested, which is owned by Centennial Management.
We need to reevaluate our duties. I'm sorry.
And so we're going to move on to item 14C. Sound good? Consideration discussion concerning the management of the Historic Women's Club of Boynton Beach.
As board, the item before you has been brought up by the board chair to bring forward a discussion on the future management activities and management style of the Historic Women's Club of Boynton Beach, located at 1010 South Federal Highway. Currently, the CRA staff is responsible for the operations, management, maintenance, renovations, marketing, and rental for the facility. We are, I think, open to discussion by the board and certainly by the board chair, and will obviously act at the will of the board and support whatever decisions you all make, or if this involves some research beyond this meeting, we're happy to do that as well.
Vice Chair, would you like to begin?
Yeah, just to ask you a question before I make comments. So the intent of this is to explore a private entity, taking the burden off of the CRA for operating this site or for booking potential clients for events, things of that nature?
Correct. It's in the sense that, do we want our CRA staff to be in the private enterprise of running a catering hall?
So fully in favor of exploring this. From the time we acquired the property, at least my understanding of the intent was to use it as an event space. And from the moment we did that, it became clear that we started taking votes on prices, and we started receiving letters of intent from potential users of this site, and it did, just as you said, kind of turn into staff and also us, running an event space. That's something that I don't personally think we should necessarily be digging that deep into the weeds on. Similarly, when the old restored high school opens up, we'll be told about the programming that goes in there, but I don't anticipate the city's going to ask us to vote whether or not there should be a yoga class or there should be some line dancing or whatever. I would love to push the responsibility of operating this through some partnership or contract. I think it's a great idea because staff's got plenty of better things to do addressing the core mission of the CRA than to occupy their time booking bar mitzvahs or weddings or whatever else might go in there.
Board Member McCray.
I'm going to echo Vice Chair comments. I feel the same.
All right. Board Member Pensurga.
I feel the same. It should go private.
All right. And so, my comments is that I agree with everyone, in that this is a historical building, and so I like it to, remain, I don't plan on, hopefully the board doesn't want to sell it to a private enterprise after we put in this money, that it remains part of the city. And so this is kind of, to me, to what happened to the Children's Schoolhouse Museum, how the city ended up getting that from the school district and turning that into a museum where we get people from all over the area and our city come use that and have the memberships. And so that's kind of why I believe we have Tom Warnke from the Surfing Museum to speak about his intention regarding it. And I'll let you, unless there's any comments for the board, I'm going to open it up to public comments. Tom?
Thank you.
Can you state your name and address for the record, too?
My name is Tom Warnke. I'll do a little introduction here, too. Right now, I live 3 blocks outside of the city limits of Boynton Beach, but my family moved here in 1956, and right now I'm a 10-year employee of the city of Boynton Beach. I work right here at Boynton Beach Oceanfront Park. I've also been working 10 years for the Coastal Star newspaper, and for the past 5 years, I've been the executive director of the Surfing Florida Museum. We had a location in Del Rey on US 1, which was temporary for 18 months. We had a chance to move into a CRA building in Lake Park where we had a lease for a year. That fell through because Lake Park wasn't very adept at doing RFPs, and they had to start the process over again after deciding to award us a freestanding building in Lake Park for a 3-year term. Since that fell through, the property that we now occupy in West Palm Beach opened up the same week. We've been there for over a year now, 8,600 square feet. We've filled it with surfing memorabilia, and we're really proud to have been a big part of the West Palm Beach Warehouse District in the Asana Partners holdings there, and our grand opening had 650 people. I did a program 2 weeks ago to the Historical Society of Boynton Beach. They approached me and asked me to do a program on the 100-year history of surfing in Palm Beach County. And I invited you. I know Mayor Grant was there by way of a representative, Jenna Grant, and Michael Simon was there. It was very well attended, especially for a Boynton Beach Historical Society event. There were 80 people there. Josie's catered it for free. And I've got some bullet points here I want to let you know about so you have more information about our museum. By the way, it's a free museum and it's nonprofit. We got our nonprofit status from the IRS 10 years ago. I'm asking the CRA to allow us to prepare a proposal to have our Surfing Florida Museum considered as a destination attraction here in Boynton Beach, in the historic Boynton Beach Women's Club. In the CRA, I know, is charged with making the city a more dynamic location, and our nonprofit museum can certainly provide that, as we're doing now in West Palm Beach. We're looking for a more permanent home. Right now, we're on a month-to-month lease. We're just paying a very small amount. The room that we occupy is up for lease for $23,000 a month. And the partners that own it decided to give it to us for a very small amount plus utilities until they lease it. And we've already been there for a year, and they really like what we're doing. Since 2014, we've produced more than 60 events. I headed up almost all of those event productions. And during the past 12 months, we've had 5,000 attendees in our space in the Warehouse District in West Palm Beach. And it's a great location. On one side, we've got Steam Horse Brewery. On the other side, we've got Grandview Public Market. If you haven't been up there, I invite you to come by. I can give you a tour. Boynton Beach was founded 100 years ago, and the centennial is coming up. That same year, people were surfing in front of the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach 100 years ago in 1919. And we have a photo of that, people surfing there. That's the oldest photo of anybody surfing in the state of Florida. So that's some context for you. Surfing is now in the Olympics. It'll be in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and it's already been scheduled for the subsequent Summer Olympics in France. As I mentioned, the museum is free. We don't have a profit motive. We don't have any paid employees except for myself and our social media director. And my stipend amounts to $17 a day. But that does amount to $6,000 a year. I did it for free for about 6 years, and the past year I've been paid. That helps me a little bit. Our partners are Discover the Palm Beaches, the Palm Beach County Cultural Council, which has seen fit to give us a nice grant all of the past 4 years. And we're also a member of the Florida Association of Museums for the past 3 years. And they gave us a great statistic this past year. 17 million visited Florida last year. That's how many visitors came into the state. 70% visited a museum. And Boynton has a great schoolhouse museum here and we would like to enhance that. In fact, we had an exhibit in the Schoolhouse Children's Museum a few years ago, and also in the Boynton Beach Library upstairs, thanks to Janet DeVries. The Boynton Beach Historical Society program 2 weeks ago gave people a little bit of a taste of our museum, although most of it was historical as part of my PowerPoint. And it was a coincidence. They called me and asked, and it's a coincidence because the museum could go into the historic Boynton Beach Women's Club, where I attended in 1958 as a Cub Scout, the Pinewood Derby upstairs there. So I go way back with the Women's Club. And the main message I'd like to give you is in my family's interaction and membership of the Boynton Beach Historical Society since more than 30 years ago when my father was mayor of Boynton Beach. The Historical Society has kind of become a non-entity. There's a historic preservation board. There's the Schoolhouse Children's Museum. There's the Women's Club. There's the Boynton Beach Historical Society. And if the city of Boynton, through the CRA and the city commission mostly, could come up with an umbrella effort for historic preservation in Boynton Beach, our museum could be part of that. I would envision the Women's Club with a beautiful, funded exhibit of Boynton Beach history. And you could fold in the ocean to that with surfing. The gateway to the Gulf Stream isn't just fishing. Okay, the Gulf Stream is very special to surfers, and that's why we have the best waves on the whole East Coast here, right here in Palm Beach County. So that's some context for you. I'm asking you to somehow allow us to do a proposal. I could do a PowerPoint, whatever you want, and we've produced a lot of events, so we could probably help. We've got a wedding scheduled for our museum next month. We partner with cystic fibrosis, Surfers for Autism. A lot of events are held in our space because it's such a big space. So hopefully we will be there longer than we expect, but right now it's month to month with no guarantees. It would probably take somebody a few months to do a build-out plan there, but right now we're looking for a more permanent home. We have some feelers in Jupiter. We have some feelers out in downtown West Palm Beach, but I'm from Boynton, and I would love to be right here on US 1. So if you have any questions, I can answer questions. Other than that, I would just like to know what the next step would be for us to make a proposal.
Board Member McCray, you have a
Mr.
question?
McCray?
I have comments.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Warnick, I appreciate you standing before us with your comments tonight, sir. But we just made mention, we already said we give consideration to a management group, to manage a historic women's club. And I feel you, sir, but I don't think that I'm only going to be one vote. I'm going to be honest with you, sir. That is not something, a venture that I would like to see in the Boynton Beach Women's Club. I remember you said that you was over on US 1, but I remember this surf club being over on Swinton Avenue. Is this the right one I'm talking about in Delray?
I had an exhibit there with the Delray Historical Society. For
right, and you all moved, right? You all moved out of Delray, right?
We were in the Historical Society cottage as a temporary exhibit, and when we had our grand opening there, we had 400 people. One of those people was Matt Gracie, who offered us his property on US 1 until he leased it. And it was already a gallery. It was 3,000 square feet. And so we were there for 18 months, rent-free.
Sir, that's what I'm saying. I do remember seeing you all in Delray. My concern is I'm only one vote, and I'm not going to be in favor of doing something like this.
Well, I'm not proposing that we manage the property. I'm proposing that we be considered as a tenant as part of that space.
So when you say you're having a wedding at the current surfing museum, are you managing that, or do you lease the space for them so that they can be there?
We have about a 6-page policy and contract, so if somebody wants to come in with a private event, they can do that, and we're experienced at doing that.
Okay, so that's kind of what also we would want for someone, the tenant, to be. We don't
like the Crossing for the Cure, the paddleboard event that comes from the Bahamas to Florida every year now. It had 200 contestants this past year. Wow. And they had their big planning meeting and kickoff in our museum and wrote us a check for $750 as soon as they found out it would be possible. So we We do lease our space out, but most all the events are produced by us on site. We have movie nights and yoga and painting parties, and we hosted the Pine Jog Summer Camp with 120 students that were aged
it's not only that
7 to 11. That was a big group, but we had a great time.
So it's really also to help program out the community activity there as well.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we could be partners with whoever you decide would manage it and
my
help
suggestion
enhance the
would be
building.
is that you send us a letter of intent.
Sure.
Is kind of that way, as otherwise we're going to issue an RFP to bring it out to the public.
Yeah, that way hopefully I'd be able to give you more information and detail it out more for
And
you.
that also way you'll be the first mover on this place. I know, Vice Chair, you had some comments, but I would say to the board is that, with your letter of intent, if we want to proceed with the management company, we would have to issue an RFP, I would assume. And so that's kind of where we want to give you the heads up to say, we are looking for the management company. We're happy to entertain your letter of intent with all your plans proposal and what you would like to do with the community, what you've done in the past, and how much you would charge. And I would suggest you speak with us currently what our past prices were to see exactly where you are in line and see if you can do what you can to help the community.
I want to be clear. I wouldn't pretend that we would manage it and do all the special events there. We would just want to enhance the property with our exhibit, and then it could be an even better event space.
Okay. So, Vice Chair?
Yeah, so I'm not opposed to learning more. I think it'd be great if there's something that can be done, city, CRA, to work with you to bring a unique attraction such as the museum you're referring to. So I do look forward to learning more about your proposal. It will be difficult, I think, similar to comments made by Board Member McCray. We've spent the past at least year and a half acquiring the property, restoring it with the kind of explicit intent to make it available for an event space. I don't know what potentially hosting an exhibit would do to detract from that, but anything that would detract from our ability to make it as successful as possible as an event space, I wouldn't be in favor of. But to my initial comments, I would like to learn more, because if not this location, there's a lot of redevelopment occurring in and around this area, and if there's something we can do as a city or a CRA that's economical to bring this type of attraction, I'm always kind of harping on that. I'd love to see more things, thematic things in our downtown relative to the ocean, to our heritage here, ocean-related stuff. So I'm in favor of learning more.
And our exhibit could be movable. It's a museum-quality exhibit that's very easy to move. And we have, thanks to the Cultural Council, we have duplicates of all 72 of our storyboard panels, so we can do a traveling exhibit. The Elliott Museum in Stewart gave us $5,000 to have our exhibit there a few years ago. And it traveled to the Natural History Museum in Gainesville and the museum in Tallahassee and Pensacola. And so we've got a good history of having a museum quality exhibit. And if it helped enhance the Women's Club and then somebody didn't want a tropical theme for an event, it could easily be moved on movable walls. And all of our panels have D-rings on the back, so it's real easy to move them. And even the boards are on movable racks. So, but we need a high ceiling. A 10-foot surfboard is very difficult to exhibit when you don't have a high ceiling. So thank you for your time. Any other questions?
No. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And so, does the board have any comments regarding what to do with the Historic Women's Club?
Just that I support your item to investigate further about devolving the responsibility of managing the location, maintaining ownership, but devolving the day-to-day event planning activities.
All right. And so we have a consensus to move forward with an RFP for event management?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Next is item 14D, Neighborhood Officer Program Fourth Quarter Report for fiscal year 2018-2019.
The board, the Neighborhood Officer Program report has been submitted by Sergeant Deal and the NOP program. If you have any questions or any comments to make, I believe that Sergeant Deal is here. If you want to go through the report, we're happy to do that as an attachment to your agenda.
All right. Yes, Board Member McCray, you have a question?
Thank you. I don't want to go through the report, but I do want the officers here to tell me about this Boynton Beach incidents from July to September. You know, you got it all marked off. I'm just saying that, is that the only crimes that we had in that area?
Henry Deal, Sergeant, Boynton Beach Police Department. For the record, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little legend. Those colored dots represent the color in that area for the heart of Boynton, and the crime for that specific quarter. If that's a question that helps you.
So those were the only crimes in the heart of Boynton Beach for that quarter?
If you use the legend in the upper right-hand corner, yes.
And so if there was different colors, if there was the same color twice, that means there was 2 of that crime.
That's correct. There's the other numbers off to the side there about, I can't
Yeah,
see from my angle.
okay.
Let me ask another question another way then, since I'm still talking. Is Cherry Hill considered in the heart of Boynton?
That's correct.
And that's the only activities that we had in the heart of Boynton with all the drugs on Cherry Hill?
When I request the information from our crime analysis, this is what she presented to me of all the crimes in the heart of Boynton for that particular quarter. If you want to know specific other types of crimes, I'd be happy to go back and...
Sir, that's what I need, specific types of crimes. So I'm just saying, look like, you know, we can live on Easy Street with these 4 or 5 little dots you presented to us. I'm not trying to be funny, but, I need stats. I'm just saying this is not stats. These are just dots, sir. And I'm not trying to belittle your report, but I see 1, 2, about 8, 9, 10 little dots, and I know it was more crimes than that.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Again, it's the legend. I'm not sure how she separates the crime. I'm not a crime analyst. I would have to get with her and find out exactly how she created the report. You can see how it says property crimes, larcenies, forgeries. I don't see any other crimes like burglaries and things of that nature. So you have a valid point. I can go back to her and get some little more stats for you.
Thank you, sir. That's the only request I'm making. Thank you. Other than that, your report is fine with me.
Yes, Board Member Pensurga.
Sergeant, we have a lot of these yellow dots on the map. It says there's 12 incidents of them.
Yes.
Other offenses not covered. Can you give examples of what that means exactly?
That could be something as benign as a barking dog, loud music from a vehicle, to a police assist call where somebody's locked out of their home or locked out of a car, or a 911 hang-up. Ever since, like for example, today I responded to the Sarah Sims Park reference to one of the call boxes. Somebody pushed the button for 911 assistance. I get there, nobody's claiming to need help. That would go down as an other, a police assist other. It's pretty much like a catch-all for that.
But benign in nature?
Yes, not a crime, non-crime related.
Okay, thank you.
There was no incidents over at the MLK or the Bell's property on Martin Luther King?
Not that I recall, but again, I'd rather go back and get the data for you specifically.
Okay.
Along that corridor. I can tell you that we, as the Neighborhood Officer Program, we're either going to the Family Dollar or the 100 block of East MLK 2 to 3 times a day, and we're monitoring the same traffic and the flow of people, and it's very cut in half. I mean, it's cut down percentage-wise.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Pensurga.
I'm not sure if you're able to answer this question, but I couldn't help but to notice the time window on this particular report. It's to 9/30/2019, and it's November. Do you know how quickly people compile this in the department? I'm just wondering, why don't we have
this is
more
a quarter.
recent data?
Yep, this is a quarterly report, so that's specific to
I
that.
see. So for that reason, you've cut. Okay.
That's correct. However, if you, like I said, I can go back to the crime analysis tomorrow, and I can specifically adjust that time frame and the geographic location using GIS mapping and so forth, and hone in on, again, part one crimes and other stuff too. You know, I can do pretty much a lot of stuff. I just wanted to make sure that the Board Member McCrae's.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Board Member McCrae.
Thank you. In regards to, you said that somebody pushed the button at Sarah Sims today.
That's correct.
How are we dealing with this? I'm just saying because it already seems like it's going to be a problem.
It's happened a few times. Today was the first time that I was there in the park when somebody pushed call box number 2, which is right by the playground. And there was kids playing in the playground, so I'm not quite sure if it was a test to see if I would come over or if it was a test of the system as a system, as a whole. I'm not quite sure. So when I got there, nobody needed assistance and nobody claimed responsibility. So, we obviously closed it out as a police assist other.
Is there a camera there so that we...
There are several cameras. I'm not quite sure where they're connected to. I don't have access to them. So I thought they were supposed to go back to the new PD, new police department, and their crime intelligence office.
Just to look into that and not waste your time.
Yeah, the city manager is here. She heard. Okay.
So yeah, if there's a no call, if you have time to see if it was kids playing around or...
Yeah, I was there in the park doing my normal patrol while somebody pushed the button. So
you were there within 30 seconds?
I was, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me know.
Any other questions?
No, just a comment in terms of, I don't know where those cameras are located, but perhaps one should be on that blue light pole. That way we can see who's pressing the button and if they're in immediate danger, but maybe that's something we can address on the city side of things.
I would have another suggestion too. Each call box is not really identified with a number on it. If somebody's calling for assistance, if somebody hits the button and wants to speak to our communications, they're not going to be, there's no, like on the side of the turnpike, back in the day, you used to have call boxes on the side of the turnpike. You used to have a call box number. I don't think there's a call box number on any of those call boxes. So it'd be nice to have a call box identifier, say, I'm calling from call box number 2, like for example today. I know where it's at because we got a map, as a police department, but the general community or citizens that go to that park maybe don't know they're at call box number 2, for example.
It's a great idea.
Well, this is something new, and your suggestion is very well taken, and perhaps you need to pass it on to the chief.
Yes. I haven't got an opportunity yet, but we'll do so.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to new business. 15A, consideration discussion concerning the purchase of the properties located at 209 and 217 North Seacrest Boulevard.
Yes, Board. This item is being brought forward based on a discussion that the city manager and I had with the property owner regarding their interest in selling the parcel located at 209 North Seacrest Boulevard and the parcel adjacent to that, 217 North Seacrest Boulevard, which is the post office, the existing post office building, and the 209 building is currently occupied by some of the police department executives, the utility billing center, and the offices for E2L and Haskell and others, kind of our, second story space for project management of the Town Square project. These properties were included as a potential redevelopment project as part of Town Square. Since the board selection of E2L and the project, and obviously it's well underway, the owners have decided not to move forward with their own redevelopment project on this site and have offered to sell the property. The owner did do a appraisal of both. The 209 North Seacrest Boulevard property appraised at $1.4 million, and the 217 North Seacrest Boulevard property appraised at $1.6 million, for a total of $3 million for both properties together. We have met as staff on the proposal, both Lori, myself, the owner. We have also met with city staff on the potential redevelopment project that could exist on the site. Obviously, being a mixed-use land use and zoning, that's the easiest answer to give you on what could be there. It could be a mixed-use project with retail and residential. It could be office and retail. It could be residential. There are numerous post-acquisition developments that could be could be conceived there. Really, it just comes down to a decision on whether or not this is a priority acquisition for the board. If it is, we certainly can come up with the financial the financial plan on how to acquire it. We do not currently have the funds. If it was something that you were interested in pursuing, it would not be something that we could close on this year, this fiscal year. But in some of the scenarios that we've discussed with Mr. Weiner and the city staff, it could be something that was stretched out over the terms of these two lease agreements. With the 209 North Seacrest building, the one that's being occupied until Town Square opens, that lease expires in May of 2020. And there are some options, but I believe that at that point the city should be in, if not in May, certainly by the middle of January. And then the lease with the post office terminates in January 31st of 2023. So you've got roughly an 18-month lease potentially at the length of time for the 209 building, and then a 3-year length for the 217. And closing could be negotiated to occur after those lease terminates. But the owner of the property is here. If you have any questions, certainly as staff, I'm happy to answer any that you have.
All right. Yes, Board Member McCray.
Thank you. Michael, will you be so kind to tell us how much money have we invested from the CRA in this Town Square project?
To date,
for the total project.
Total project, it will be, by the end of the term, it'll be close to $80 million.
$80 million that the CRA has invested. And now, I'm going to be honest with you all, and you did make a statement in your remarks. You said that currently we do not have the funds. Okay, this is the way I feel. The CRA was started to get rid of slum and blight. Look like we're running around now trying to buy up every piece of property that comes on the market. You know, I appreciate Mr. Weiner being here, but I don't think this is something that we need to get involved with right now because, first of all, you said you're going to put a hotel on the corner. If the hotel comes, let's find out who will come in there and say that I want to get the property next to it. I'm just saying, you know, like we're running rampant right now. I'm not in favor of moving to buy anything right now because we are head over heels, if you all don't want to believe it, in debt.
Board Member Pensurga.
I'm in favor of moving forward with this acquisition. It's obviously a prime location given its proximity to Town Square. It is also a prime location for redevelopment, but more importantly, the price at which we're being offered is the appraised value. So I don't feel like this applicant is trying to gouge us, which is really, really important in my opinion. For that reason, not to mention the redevelopment potential, you know, I'd like to see some offices here someday, perhaps some childcare services for the many people that will be moving into the area, and all sorts of combination. Yes, we don't need to have the money right now, but that's because they still have a lease to go and several more years until that lease ends. So we can certainly structure a payment for when that time comes. So it is possible.
Yes, Board Member McCray, you have further comments.
Thank you. Board Member Pensurga, individuals that I represent, and I'm going to say it like this here, they are coming to me and saying that we're putting all our money downtown. I know that you said that you are in favor of this. Your district is not in the CRA district where the prime locations for spending this money to get rid of slum and blight is. I know you probably want to make yourself look good, sir, but this is not the time to spend $3 million when we have not delivered in the heart of Boynton what we said we was going to deliver. I'm still not in favor of it. I hope you think about what you're saying.
All right. Vice Chair.
Yeah, so what would be a hypothetical, and you might not be able to back this out, but what would be a hypothetical purchase agreement in terms of distributing the funds across a time horizon of whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever, you know, because the post office is occupied for a number of years?
Yes, sir. I think that you would have you'd have both properties under contract, and then you would seemingly close or theoretically close on the 209 parcel. So you'd be gathering the 1.4 million between now and, let's say, January of 2021 or some date that we would be determined after the use of that building by the city and the agencies that are in there are done. And then begin again to set aside funding for the next closing, which would occur in January of 2023. And the numbers are such that you could amass that funding fairly easily by use of either new line items and new budgets next year, or gathering some of your funds from the future development projects line item, which is about 836,000, for deposit type money, and then at your next budget year, you'd have set aside the balance for the closing. That's one way to do it, but it would be I think it would have to be a staggered closing.
So that would be my question. Is I'll echo some of the thoughts Board Member Penserga put forward. The options on the table, at least in the material, or to approve the acquisition tonight or not approve the acquisition. Is there a way to, if there was majority support, to authorize you to negotiate or hash out those terms? I don't know if it's a matter of semantics, because this says approve the acquisition for a board to determine the purchase price. So it would come back to us, but does this mean that we are agreeing to buy it tonight if we vote on what's stated? Or can we vote to authorize you and staff to engage in negotiations so that for me, that particular question, I'd want to know precisely how much and when to identify the impact on the rest of the CRA's activities. Because I do share the concerns, and I'm sensitive to the distribution of funds throughout the CRA. So if we can do this and not take away from what's already anticipated in terms of investment for Heart of Boynton or MLK, we just had this conversation about potentially trying to engage Bells and other properties. So I just want to make sure I know everything before committing to acquire it. I'd like to know more about the financials.
Yes, sir. And as you know, those board options, numbered or not numbered, are really there to just try to guide your discussion. I know, and so you can, if there was no interest at all, that would be one possible outcome, not knowing, because it wasn't a property that we solicited or were asked to go get. So having been approached by an outside individual, I wanted it first to leave it as open for your discussion and direction as I could. And if that is to pursue more information and bring back exactly a timeline and a financial proposal, then that's great. If it was something that you didn't want to get involved with, that's fine. But we can take any type of motion that you'd like.
So is Mr. Weiner, do you mind if I ask you a question?
For the record, Michael Weiner, with a business address of 6111 Broken Sound Parkway, Boca Raton, Florida.
So given the fact that we're renting space and the post office is renting space, and I'm not talking about waiting 6 or 12 or 18 months or anything, but is there any objection on your behalf to giving 30 or 60 days or whatever amount of time is necessary for you and the CRA staff to be able to put together some tentative ideas on how to distribute the cost for the potential acquisition before we vote to acquire it?
I have no difficulties whatsoever with that approach. If I could say a couple of words. First of all, I'm very thankful to have been involved in the downtown Boynton Beach redevelopment. We bought these properties more than a decade ago. We're looking forward to engaging further. I think that under the circumstances that we're involved in, would have liked to seen the redevelopment of downtown 10 years earlier, but it didn't happen that way. We need to put these properties in play. I think that this is a good opportunity. Better you control your fate and your future than necessarily going out to market at this point. So yes, absolutely would engage in negotiations.
Okay, so I mean So that's my position. I'm in favor of looking into the acquisition by way of determining the financial implications. We know the total cost, hypothetically, based on what's presented to us, $3 million. I want to know more before I commit to the purchase, although I will say, and again, echoing some of the comments of Board Member Pensurga, that I'm interested in the property.
Fine.
The concern I have is that, we're spending a lot of money and we don't necessarily know what we're getting out of this. We're spending $3 million to tear down buildings. It's a lot to ask because, we could have bought a building that we wouldn't have tear down for less. And so that's my main concern. I'd also asked, I was looking at the comparables, and we have one that was literally down the street at Weiss Memorial Chapel, and they put that price per square foot at over $270, and so we're getting it less than that per square foot of the actual building. And so I can't miss an opportunity to control the destiny of our downtown. I saw that the property to the west of it sold for $750,000, and so that property is going to be tough, and that's going to be part of that redevelopment of that block. You have a lot of single-family homes there, and it's going to take both the CRA and the developer to help program that out, but that's kind of our welcoming corner. And if we are trying to put a roundabout or something like that in, it's something that we need. And the other aspect of it is that, speaking with Mike, our executive director, is that post office has been there for the 50-plus years. And a lot of people have used that as their P.O. box, and as myself, I do. And so it's kind of like that's kind of essential that we have that sort of capability for our downtown. And so I think that's something that we would want to remain in our downtown, having that access to people. And so I'm in favor of moving forward. I understand that we don't want to be our own, landlord for the city, like we are with the library, collecting payments for them. And the post office has a lease until 2023, and so I'm happy to entertain, but that's the thing, was that we can't control what the post office is going to do, whether they want to be there or whether they don't want to be there. I think that when we control it, it's an investment, and that's what we're using the money for, is that if we buy the property and the post office wants another 5-year lease, that money we can use for a lot of different things. And so that's kind of where I'm at, is that controlling your destiny and, using it as an investment, because like our vice chair says, you could let private enterprise buy this and you don't know what you're getting. I believe Weiss Memorial Chapel is turning into a medical marijuana dispensary. And so I do not want, we do not have any limits of that in our neighborhood. And someone was telling me about how many vape shops are now in downtown West Palm Beach. And this is something that we can do to control the destiny of Boynton Beach. And so I don't want to miss another opportunity like we did with Family Dollar. So I'm in favor of it. I know that we're kind of getting an option to move forward, and I thank Mr. Weiner for giving us the first right to purchase this. Board Member McCray.
Thank you. My final comments. I'm not in favor of moving forward, spending $3 million. And the reason I'm going to say again for the record is that the citizens that live in the CRA district that has been promised things for over 25 years, they are still saying that we're spending all the money downtown and that you all are using our tax dollars just to enhance downtown, and you have forgotten about us. And as a representative, I'm still going to say and stay on record, seems like you all are pushing us back on the back burner again. Thank you.
All right. Board Member Romulus.
Yeah, so my only comment that I'm going to make, I'm not I'm just a little conflicted on this site and the expense, the exorbitant expense that I believe that we seem to be ready to make to acquire this property, when in the very same board meeting just a few agenda items ago, we refused to spend about half of this on a different property in order to exercise the same arguments that are being made right now, which is to control the property, to control its destiny, yada, 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 yada. So, I mean, I'm just a little confused by the narrative that's being used here compared to what was used there. So that's the only point that I'll make. Other than that, I definitely understand the argument. I definitely understand the control and the allocation of the funds and why this is a good place to make the investment. It just does feel a little bit of a double standard that we're not willing to do that somewhere else, but yet we are here. So that's my only comment.
Vice Chair.
So one, just to defend the mayor, because he's voted to acquire both of these properties, so he's been very consistent in his position. My objection to purchasing one property has nothing to do with location in the city. It has to do with, this is an ugly old post office that could easily be redeveloped versus a brand new building which we already redeveloped. If there's a comparison to be made between these two projects, I'll drop $3 million on MLK next month if someone presents to me $3 million worth of property that I think that we could adequately redevelop that we already haven't redeveloped. So I don't see a direct comparison other than the willingness to spend money geographically, which I don't think is the factor here, at least not for me. I would like to see these financials. We're talking about $3 million, but again, this could be $3 million over 5 years, which is really $600,000 a year. So if we were talking about spending $600 grand right now, this would be a different story. So I'd like to see again those financials. I support the acquisition, and then I'll maintain that if Bell's and a couple other properties on MLK want to sell themselves to us for $3 million next month, I would just as equally entertain the opportunity to purchase those properties.
So I believe I'll take Mike, do you need a motion or a consensus?
For staff direction, you can do, I was going to say, you could do consensus. In this case, it might be clearer to have a motion for the record given the discussion.
Okay. Yes, Vice Chair.
So I'll make a motion that within 60 days, so if the details are able to be come up with and presented to us earlier, that's by all means, but within 60 days, have through negotiations with the property owner and CRA staff more details pursuant to the financials presented.
All right. And Board Member McRae, you do not want me to have private negotiation or talks with the property owner. If I have any talks, I should have the executive director there?
Sir, if the executive director is there, but my comment is, and I'm going to say when, Michael, you bring back the report, you said that we're going to have to move funds around. Make sure you tell us, because I'm still going to vote against it, make sure you tell us what will be cut and where it will be cut, because the people that need it the most, we are being cut.
All right. Okay. All right. And so do we have a second on Vice Chair's motion for 60 days for the executive director to speak with the property owner to bring back an option of terms?
Second with discussion.
Yes.
Just want to add in that whatever comes here before us on this property, especially if we're willing to put down $3 million to do this, I better see some affordable housing on it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good luck.
All right. So we have a second? All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you very much for a full and frank and public conversation on this. I'll be speaking with you.
All right. So, item 15B, consideration of a temporary use agreement between the CRA and Killebrew Inc. for the CRA-owned properties located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Northeast 1st Street and Northeast 5th Avenue within the Cottage District site.
Yes, Twee Shut for the record. This is a request for the board to consider a temporary use agreement between the CRA and Killebrew Inc. for CRA-owned, certain portions of the CRA-owned properties located within the Cottage District site. So as you recall, City Commission had approved an execution of a contract for Killebrew to do what we call a pipe bursting project, which in short, it's a sewer main replacement project. This is a special technique in which engineering-wise, it's not required that you build trenches, so it saves the city money in terms of the cost of digging the trenches, the traffic.
We already voted to approve it, so yeah, we got
Okay.
it.
So basically, this is just, the draft is
Stages.
included, and it sets forth all the obligations for the Killebrew to operate. There's an exhibit in your packet, how the staging area will be done. Because of the size and the type of construction, this will help offset any costs the city may have to pay Killebrew if they go to a third party to rent or lease a space. So Mr. Ian Lunn is here from Killebrew with any details you may need.
All right, yes, I do have some questions. Good evening.
Good evening. Ian Lunn, Killebrew Incorporated, business address 2830 Winter Lake Road in Lakeland.
All right, so my question is that how much money are we saving the city by allowing the property to be used as a staging area versus another location?
Well, there's the obvious rental of the yards, but more so the money savings for the city will be associated with without a yard in that corridor, that type of construction couldn't be completed. Basically, the pipe bursting requires pre-disinfection of the pipe prior to installation, so it has to be relatively close as the pipe is 250 or so feet in length.
Mm-hmm.
Without something in that corridor, you would be looking at nearly double the construction cost probably.
To try to coordinate moving the pipe through the neighborhood.
Yeah, with the boundary, the DOT to the south, they wouldn't allow it, so
Okay.
you guys own most of the property in that corridor.
So, and yeah, so that's pretty good. And then I also heard that you are going to make the property look better and
Correct.
afterwards.
Yeah. We'll do a pre-construction video to ensure we establish some baseline and minimally meet that or improve it.
The other concern is the residential aspect of that neighborhood.
Mhm.
I believe you said, it was told that you're going to put a 6-foot security fence that is shaded so that the residents do not have to be looking on these pipes.
Correct, yes.
The construction of those pipes, how loud are they?
It's typical construction. The backhoes, the alarms actually are the loudest thing on the backhoes.
So going in reverse is the loudest noise?
Correct.
Okay. And so this is going to save us money. We know that we need this for our cottage district because the current utilities aren't enough. And so I believe that our cost for this area, for this amount was what, $500,000?
For the upgrades for us, yes, for our project.
And so this,
Double the cost of the project to the city if they don't use this site.
This will ensure some capacity for future projects all along Northeast First.
and this is for sewer and potable?
Just potable.
Just potable water?
And hydraulics were run, taking in consideration all the future development along Northeast First.
All the way to 9th.
And this, so how far north does this go from Boynton Beach Boulevard to?
Yeah, we did the first phase ahead of some work at the town center just to get ahead of that, and it goes from basically the car wash down to 9th, where the city property is.
Okay. And will this also help the new MLK corridor project? This is also necessary that we do that, do this for that project?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm definitely in favor. One of the things that I'd ask is that I know that the city has done it a lot with the utilities project, is create an answering service, kind of like a hotline, so that if anyone from the community has a question for Killebrew, they can dial the number, or if you want to coordinate it with the utilities department, to use our utilities department as that 24.
As part of the pipe bursting process, we have to, by DEP regulation, pass out door flyers.
Okay.
So they'll have my cell phone and the cell phone of a field superintendent on their doors.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's above and beyond. Yes, Board Member McCray.
Thank you. You just answered my last question, as long as I make sure that the residents over there, they are notified prior to the beginning.
Correct.
You all stay in contact with them until the completion.
Yeah, they have to get, per law, 2-week and 2-day
Understand, sir,
notification.
that I understand, I know the law, but I'm making sure that you understand what I'm saying. I represent the district, sir.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
And so this will stop water, potable water, for a certain amount of time for the residents there?
Just daily interruption. We're doing it in such a way to try to, there's a lot of looped areas, so it's hard to explain without kind of getting deep in the weeds, but there will be some interruption, yes.
Yeah, no, I have owned property on Northeast 3rd, so I'm aware of
Yeah.
the issue there.
It's interesting.
Yep. And so hopefully you'll find all the pipes and fix them.
Finding them is a part of the fun, I think.
Yeah. All right.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 15C, consideration of 2020 CRA board meeting dates. All
I
right.
can only vote up to the ones up until March. I won't be here. I'm just kidding.
There's no special conditions or moving any meetings because of holidays, or there's no conflicts with the dates that are before you.
So there is a conflict with Palm Beach County Days.
Yes, January 14th.
And that I don't believe I will be here for that one, and so I don't know
I won't be either.
if anyone else is doing Palm Beach County Days. So we will not have a quorum for
Ratified.
January 14th.
I'll be here, but I won't be coming.
So do we want to?
You can't know.
Do we want to move it for that Monday, the 13th?
When will y'all be leaving? Y'all Palm Beach County Days is right here, okay?
Yeah, I won't be here on the 13th.
Okay.
We can look at other dates and bring it back in December for you, for that particular. Obviously, we were looking at known national holidays, other religious holidays we weren't aware or thinking about.
All right.
The Palm Beach County Days. So we can bring that back in December if you essentially approving all the other dates as you know them. And
So I'd ask the board to actually, I think it's called a doodle, where you list all your dates available. Is that violation of the Sunshine Law?
Yes, sir.
So we can individually do that. So so I'd ask the board
we'll send those individually.
So to send the CRA your dates available so that they can tell us what is the best time.
And if I may suggest, Mayor, we'll send, there's obviously dates that will need to be cleared with the city for dates they may have occupied this building. So if we could send individually choices and maybe do it that way as opposed to you giving us dates, because there may be dates that aren't even a possibility.
Don't make it easy for us to hit reply all, so please send us
individually.
out
Yes, sir.
the individual dates that are available.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve the remainder of the CRA board meeting dates? All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Consideration of accepting transfer of Lot 14 East Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard from the city.
Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I believe we have two advisory board reports from the CRA advisory team on their trip to the FRA of Tom Devlin, Goldie, and Gordon. I'm looking at it in the back. Any questions or comments regarding that?
I'll share.
Yep.
Since I did attend in person, I'll give my own personal vocal report. It was a great refresher. I have not been to the FRA conference since I was initially elected to this board since 2016. So it's a great refresher to go and learn some of the new initiatives and things that CRAs are doing around the country. And I thought one of the innovative things that Tampa did was host several tours of their different CRAs. I believe they have 3, 5, I don't know. They have a bunch of CRAs within the city of Tampa itself. So they took us on tours all around. And So it was very educational, learned a lot, and you know, it was time and money well spent, in my opinion.
All right. Excellent. And moving forward, and no pending assignments, reports on, does anyone have a new assignment for the CRA Advisory Board, Vice Chair?
Not for the advisory board, future agenda item.
Okay. Now we're there, future agenda items.
So I request consensus from the board. We voted earlier, we gave direction earlier for CRA staff and the executive director to reach out to the owners of the Bells property, but in wanting to proactively address the concern about investment, whether it's Town Square versus Heart of Boynton, I'd request that we expand that effort to be any property on MLK from Seacrest running east, so that we're not just investigating whether we can acquire Bells, but the whole MLK redevelopment isn't the Centennial project in the corner where Family Dollar is. It's envisioned to go all the way to the train tracks. So whether it's a discussion to be had at a future meeting, or if there's consensus to have staff start looking at all properties, I want to be sensitive to the concern that's been voiced not just in our city but across the country of gentrification, but to the desire to have more money invested into this area. The only way to do so is to give it to existing property owners or to acquire their property to foster redevelopment. So I don't want it to appear like I'm asking that we go out and try to gobble up everyone's property on MLK, but at the same time, in the effort to extend our education into what more we can do on MLK in that particular project, I'd want to widen the scope not just to Bell's property, but to any property that could accentuate our efforts to redevelop that particular stretch of street.
And so, Vice Chair, my concern with that is that, buying up the property or doing anything with those buildings doesn't add economic activity. As we've seen with the Ocean Breeze East, we awarded it in 2017, and the groundbreaking was last Sunday. So it's 2+ years before even a groundbreaking, and that's after we brought the CRA bought the property in 2006.
Groundbreaking was Saturday. Not
Saturday?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So one of the concerns that I have with the future agenda is how do we help activate economic activity in the community? Whether we've done that for multiple areas, along Federal Highway with our Rock the Plazas, our different events over at the amphitheater on Ocean Avenue. Do we want to consider an event or a meeting, or how do you plan to help increase economic activity in the area rather than try to build something, but if there's no economic activity, what's going to be built there? The problem with the Family Dollar is that you build a convenience store surrounded by 6 other convenience stores. You have the Express Mart, MLK Quick Stop, Easy Mart, Cherry Hill Mini Mart, Rainbow Room, and CVS, all within the heart of Boynton Beach, except with Rainbow Room. So I'd like to say, it's also working with property owners, I think, is more the key to help spur economic activity, not necessarily the buy and sell.
Yeah, no, so I have no problem, whatever discussion may precipitate this, to expanding it to activities on MLK or any adjacent areas, because that's kind of the hot spot right now as far as investment on our part as the CRA and then private partners coming in. But it's a residential street by nature right now, so I'm open to any ideas to foster greater economic activity. I just think that it's difficult to envision much without redevelopment, whether that's redeveloping the residential and maintaining those residents, so investing through grants or whatever. I think there needs to be a conversation so that it's made clear that we are doing things simultaneously and not choosing one area over the other. I want to make sure we don't take our eye off that ball, because I'm cognizant of that concern historically as well.
Board Member Romulus?
Right, and I thank Commissioner or Board Member Katz for, or I guess Vice Chair Katz for his comments on this. And I think
She's saying she can't hear you.
I thank Vice Chair Katz for his comments on this because I do understand that that is the perception, and in most cases, perception is reality. And, you know, in attending the CRA, FRA conference, actually, one of the books that I was reading that really colored my perception of a lot of the efforts that were being done in Tampa, and really, as a matter of fact, across the country in many CRAs, is basically hook, you know, line and sinker leading directly. It's a straight path directly to gentrification, and you know, a lot of the things that we are doing, by their very nature, lend themselves to the problem that we have exactly right now. And so, you know, there's no real set solution. You know, I appreciate the vigor to try to, you know, restructure or repaint the perception, but I believe it also takes a little bit of stepping back and educating ourselves on the topic itself and how we can be better stewards of our city and our tax dollars as we move forward. So I would suggest, if this board finds it valuable for their time, to read some books that I've been reading that have, again, very much educated me on this conversation around gentrification and how the government plays a key role in all of it in regards to CRAs and DDAs and all other types of entities that are redirecting or reallocating tax dollars. And those books are How to Kill a City. That's the first book, and the second book is Happy City. So those are the two books that I've read recently that have definitely given me a new perspective on my role in all of this, and how we really have a heavy hand in how the world, or how our world or our cities will look like for the next few decades, and how they'll affect how people live from here on out. So I would highly suggest that my fellow board members, if you think this is valuable and important use of your time, to read those two books, How to Kill a City and Happy City.
Thank you. Any further comments before we adjourn? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes unanimously.